Jace Tunnell here. Today we're going to be talking to you about marine debris, and we actually have an expert that works at the Hart Research Institute. Her name is Kristina Alexander, and her expertise is in environmental law. So what we're going to do on the beach today, we're going to point out some of the marine debris that we find that's typical on the beach and talk about what are some of the laws, where's some of this coming from, and what can you do in your own life to be able to help prevent plastics and debris from getting into the ocean. So let's go talk to Kristina.
Hi, I'm talking about marine debris, and we stopped here because we found all sorts of stuff. As you can see, a toothbrush, part of a backpack, fishing float, water bottle, something from every source. So 80% of marine debris comes from on land. This fishing float would be the exception. The fishing gear, however, causes the most threats to animal life. But of course, all of this is pollution. And pollution is against the law. It's against the law to litter in Texas. It's against international law to throw debris off ships in high water. And the problem is that nobody can catch you doing it. And so these water bottles and shrimp debris and everything happens everywhere. The Coast Guard is the main enforcing official because it's unlikely that someone will have seen somebody throw the trash into the ocean. It's generally caught by comparing shipping records with what they find on board, but they have had a lot of success with whistleblowers because the logs can be easily forged, but the whistleblowers know when something's being followed correctly. So here you can see how this plastic rope has broken into smaller and smaller pieces. And that's what happens when plastic is exposed to the sun. And it keeps breaking into smaller and smaller bits, which when they're smaller than 5 millimeters are called microplastic. And microplastic sinks in the water column. And they have found microplastic at the deepest part of the ocean. And it's throughout the water column and in our drinking water and in our lungs. So the less plastic you use, the better. It's illegal to throw litter away in Texas, and the fine depends on how much you've thrown away by weight, which makes plastic a pretty easy polluter. But less than 5 pounds, it's $500. 5 to 500 pounds, it becomes a Class B misdemeanor, and then you're looking at up to around $2,000 plus 18 days in county jail. But there's special fines for cigarette waste. And cigarettes have plastic in their filters, and they're super fine threads. So most people don't think that when they're throwing out their cigarette butt out the car window that they're contributing a problem to the ecosystem. But those little threads are very harmful to the environment. So this is a bag used by shrimpers, obviously been thrown overboard. And these little holes are likely made by sea turtles. So they think it's food, or they're going to find food here. But instead, they've just eaten a mouthful of plastic, which will fill their stomach and lead to reproductive problems. So you can see the size of the fishing debris and why it causes the most harm to marine life. And by weight, it poses the biggest amount of plastic pollution in the sea. But it's worth noting that there have been laws preventing dumping debris into United States waters since the 1890s, when the Rivers and Harbors Act, Section 13, made it illegal to put debris in the water. The idea was to prevent debris obstructing navigation, but it was also used in one instance to prevent pollution before the Clean Water Act was enacted. The Rivers and Harbors Act is enforced by the Corps of Engineers. So as I said, 80% of the debris comes from on land. So it's pretty easy if you carried your water bottle to the ocean to have some water. It's easier to carry it away from the ocean because it's lighter. So you got to take your trash with you. That's the main thing. Throw it away. Reduce how much plastic you buy. Use a reusable water bottle. That's a very simple thing, but there are other ways. One of the reasons we don't like plastic in the water, in addition to it being ugly, is it's a threat to wildlife and to indirectly to human life. So the wildlife, when the plastic breaks down into small pieces, it can resemble food, especially styrofoam, the little spheres that styrofoam breaks into. It can resemble food to the fish. And it also tends to absorb toxins in the water more readily than natural food does. So the fish eat that, and either they absorb the toxins, which isn't good, or the plastics themselves can pose, and they can disrupt the natural hormones of the species. So that means they don't mature as quickly or at all, they don't breed. It's not pretty to look at, but it's also harmful to the environment.
Okay, well, hopefully y'all learned something about marine debris and what you can do in your own life to try to prevent this from getting out into the ocean, because it has a real impact to wildlife, fish, even the birds along the shoreline. So we can all do our part to help keep the ocean clean. So I guess that's it for this episode of Beachcombing. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.